welcome to the big education debate. Union HRD Minister Kapil Sibal has stirred a nationwide debate by proposing some very radical reforms in the education sector, particularly in school education. Are these reforms realistic or are they simply unworkable? To discuss these reforms, we have with us Amita M. Vattal, Principal Springdale School, Lata Vaidyanathan, Principal of Modern School, Barakamba Road, Rukmini Banerjee, Director Pratham, and Ashish Rajpal, co-founder and managing director, iDiscover I. We also have a very lively audience here of students, teachers, parents. All of them want to share their opinions and they want to ask questions of Kapil Sibal about these very radical education reforms. And joining us now, the man himself, the man in the hot seat who will answer all their questions is HRD Minister Kapil Sibal. Hi. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. You know, if the voting age was 13, I tell you, you'd ride to power with absolute majority. No board exams, everybody would vote for this man. Let's now take a look at the measures that Kapil Sibal is proposing and take a look at these reforms that have generated such a robust debate. First and foremost, make the Class 10 board exam optional. Create a single pan-Indian examination board for Class 12. Replace marks by grades in classes 9 and 10 of CBSE affiliated schools. Set up an independent accreditation body for school education. Enact the Children's Right to Free and Compulsory Education Bill. Introduce a semester system in the central education institutions. Create equal opportunity offices in all universities. Review functioning of existing deemed universities. And consider the entry of foreign universities and the entry of private investment in a big way in the education sector. So those are, in summary, the reforms that the HRD Minister is proposing. Let's start the debate now by getting in some questions at the very top of the program from students of Campion School, Mumbai. Let's hear the questions.
Hi, I'm Devanshu Gulati, and I would like to ask the Honourable Minister that if board exams are replaced, then what will be an alternative method of testing the knowledge and the skill that students have accumulated over 10 years of study?
Hi, my name is Parth Shah and I would like to ask Mr. Sibal a question. If the Honourable Minister plans on removing the board exams and the percentage system, how will we know where do we lie? Won't the underachievers and overachievers come under the same category? How will we know which subject to take, whether arts, commerce or science, and which career option to choose?
So the big question then, should Class 10 examinations be made optional?
Well, I think excellent question, and I think we need to answer them. First of all, the proposal that I suggested was that we start off with the CBSE system initially. Now, there are about 10,000 schools in the CBSE system which are affiliated to the CBSE, and all schools which go to Class 12, not schools which end at Class 10, all schools which go to Class 12 in the CBSE system, for them moving from Class 10 to Class 11, it's not necessary to sit for the board. That was my suggestion. It doesn't apply to state boards because there are 38 boards in this country, and I'd be doing great injustice to my students across the country if I were to say, okay, now you match the students who are in the ICSE system or the CBSE system and compete with them. No, I don't think I can do that. That's number one. Number two, what we need to do is change curriculum. We need to change the way we test our people, right? And therefore, to answer the question of the young man, how will I be tested? Well, you'll be tested in a different way. It's not necessary that you have to sit in an exam to show the world that you get 98% in physics and 100% in maths. Really? Maybe you can, by rote do that. But what are your skills? What are your creative skills? And schools must devise, through the National Curriculum Framework, on the basis of that, a system of assessment which allows the child to determine what he wants to do later in life, instead of the examination result determining what he should do in life. What happens normally is you get 99% in physics, you say, okay, now you go to the science stream. He may not be interested to be a physicist. He may want to be an artist. He may want to be a musician. Why should the exam result determine what career he has to take? It should be the other way around. Therefore, the assessment at Class 10 level as to which stream you should choose should be through counseling, through teachers, participation, child's participation, because he's fundamental to the whole system, and parents' participation. And then they must decide what is the aptitude of the child, in which vocation in life will he be successful.
But I'm going to get a response to this from the principals here. Lata Vaidyanathan, there was a feedback from the audience here saying this is unfair to the bright student, because the bright student actually needs to be tested, and it gives him a terrific confidence boost if he sits for the 10th standard board exam and does extremely well. If he gets 95% marks, that's a terrific confidence builder for a scholastically inclined student.
See, you know, the whole issue is about marks. The trouble is that the entire education system has come down to be rating and testing and marks orientation. I think the picture is much larger than this. And when we talk of stress in exam and the 10th board exam and doing away, if you leave it to the students and the people to debate this issue, the whole thing is about how do I know that I'm better, and it's not right for
What about the minister's proposal? Should it be made optional or not?
I think it should be made optional, but the issues related to the optional are much larger than what meets the eye of the normal school-going child. Therefore, I think once we look at what needs to be done, we need to address issues of whether learning is taking place across this testing process, whether
so it's not
learning
just
is
about
being
the exam.
assessed. No, it's not just about the exams.
exams.
I think I completely agree with the minister that an optional situation must come.
Okay, so by making the examination optional, you're actually creating reforms down the line for the education system. Do you agree,
yes,
do you agree with that?
Firstly, I'd like to say that we've been constantly doing this comprehensive continuous evaluation process that is in place from the time a child comes in, which really is not so aggressive. And I think this whole issue about it becoming an option is wonderful. But here, this is something I want to, in fact, I'm going to ask the minister about this, because I think we talked about the fact that this exam should be those schools which are till class 12, there should be no 10th standard exam for that. Now, in that context, there are certain children, one goes for school inspections in CBSE schools where children do opt out and leave, and they have dropouts at 8th standard, at 10th standard. And so that becomes an issue here, because across the board, it's not necessary that in every CBSE school, the ideal thing is that they should be there till class 12. But that is not what happens. So how do we look at that area of being optional? And also, if you create a situation within
That's a very important point.
Yeah, and if you create a situation within the school context, then there will be divisiveness.
Do you want to respond to that?
What you need to do is to have a system of assessment. For example, supposing you were to say, we'll have an exam, but the assessment will be done by teachers outside.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
You can have a system like that.
Or
an alternative system.
Sure.
Not a board exam where parents and teachers have to, from class 9 start sort of worrying about what's going to happen.
Everyone stops playing.
For 1 year.
Papers coming from outside, and teachers evaluating inside. And teachers evaluating inside.
Because I don't want evaluation to be done from inside, because then each teacher would like to favor his own students. I don't want that to happen. So you have to have an alternative system which is creative, which actually tests the ability of the student.
Right.
And not just a written test.
No.
But I was just concerned that are we becoming too elitist in our focus here? Because after all, there may be many people across India who need that 10th standard certificate.
But we are going to give it to them. All schools which are till class 10, they must appear for the exam, because there is no other way to go to pre-university. There is no other way to go to polytechnics. I'm only talking about the CBSE system where the child is moving to class 12.
I'd like to take this opportunity first to say that you're the first education minister we've had in a long time who's looking at schools.
Yay.
And I think for that,
schools, thank God.
And I think that
he's thinking school.
I think that's a hugely important thing, because most children who have any education in India are in school and not beyond school. So we really hope your interest in school stays strong for not 100 days, but for 1,000 days. The second thing is that I think what you've done is also opened up a debate on a much broader issue. Sure. Even though you're going to focus on CBSE schools now, I think it's a huge opportunity for the country to think about what do we need for the next 5 years, what do we need in terms of standards that we want our children who today may be in 5th, 5 years time will get to 10th. How do we assure learning? Our fundamental bill for the right to education will go to Parliament. What can we guarantee in terms of not just education or going to school, but learning for the 8 years that we are guaranteeing that you are allowed to be in school? So I think for all of these reasons, I think we must clap for you that you have now opened up lots of things that we as normal people can contribute.